I came home without telling a soul. 8 months of radio silence after the mother of all HOA blowouts. And I figured the Willow Creek Homeowners Association would have moved on. Fat chance. The place still looked like a postcard. White siding gleaming. Black shutters perfect. Lawns mowed to the exact 2-inch regulation that Karen Delaney enforced like it was the Ten Commandments. My name is Marley Green, 29, and the last time I'd seen this colonial prison, I'd sworn I was done. But family pulls you back, even when it's wrapped in petty tyranny and pastel polos. The key was still under the fake rock by the rosebush, another HOA violation waiting to happen if the blooms got too wild. I pushed the door open, and the first thing that hit me wasn't the smell of Mom's pot roast. It was nothing. Sterile. Like the whole house had been power washed of personality to meet Section 4.2 of the covenants. Marley, Mom's voice floated from the kitchen. Flat. Rehearsed. She stood at the sink scrubbing dishes that were already sparkling. Shoulders hunched like she was bracing for a $250 fine. Hi, Mom. She turned, and I saw what 8 months of living under Karen Delaney had done. New worry lines. Hair more gray than blonde. Eyes darting everywhere but mine. You should have called. Would you have answered? Or just forwarded it to the HOA complaint portal? She didn't laugh. Karen, my mother's wife, the self-appointed queen of Willow Creek, appeared in the doorway like she owned the air itself. Same khakis. Same polo with the embroidered president badge. Same smile that could curdle milk. Well, the prodigal daughter returns. Hope you read the new guest parking addendum before you left your suitcase on the porch. That's a $150 fine. Sweetheart, where's Tessa? I asked, ignoring the threat. Upstairs. Mom said too fast. Not feeling well. Since when? Karen's voice had that sugary edge. Teenagers and their drama. You know, probably another violation. Her window blinds were 1/8 inch off regulation again. Tessa was 19 now. I'd missed her entire last year of high school thanks to Karen's war on non-compliant youth. We sat down to the Thursday ritual, chicken breast, green beans, mashed potatoes, same meal, same 3 plates. Mom asked about my job like nothing had happened. Karen chuckled. Still too picky about everything. Huh, not getting any younger. Marley, when your mother was 29, she already had you and knew how to follow community standards. I stabbed a green bean so hard the fork bent. I'm 29, not 90. When your mother was 29, your father was still alive and the lawn was never over 2 inches. The silence after that could have funded a new HOA lawsuit. I pushed back from the table. I'm checking on Tessa. She needs rest, Karen said, smile never wavering. I won't wake her. Just want to see her. I said she needs rest. That tone, polite on the surface, steel underneath, made the hair on my neck rise. It was the same voice she used when she fined Mrs. Alvarez $500 for having a non-approved bird feeder that somehow threatened property values. I went upstairs anyway. The hallway felt smaller, darker. Every family photo now featuring Karen's too wide grin inserted where Dad used to be. Tessa's door was shut tight. No light underneath. I raised my hand to knock and heard it breathing, quick and shallow, like someone trying not to scream. When we were kids, she breathed like that during thunderstorms. My knuckles barely brushed the wood when the door cracked an inch. I saw one terrified eye in the gap. Tessa, it's me. The breathing hitched. Then, so quiet I almost missed it, don't react. She has a knife. The words landed like a $1,000 special assessment. Knife? In this house of perfectly compliant throw pillows? My thumb was already on my phone screen. 911. Typing without looking. Large woman with knife holding my sister hostage. 4827 Elm Street. Willow Creek, HOA second floor back bedroom. Come silent. No sirens. Send. Is she in there with you? Tiny nod. Phone buzzed. Units dispatched. Keep line open. Tessa, everything okay up there? Karen's voice drifted up the stairs. Sweet as artificial sweetener. Fine, I call back. Voice steady as a freshly painted mailbox. Just catching up. Don't keep her up too late. School tomorrow. And her window valance is still non-compliant. School? Like this was normal? Like my sister wasn't trapped behind a door with the HOA president holding a kitchen knife. I whispered through the crack. Can you open it more? No. She'll hear. Time stretched like a stretched-out violation notice. Downstairs the TV droned some game show while Mom loaded the dishwasher like nothing was wrong. My phone lit up. Officers in position. Stand back. Soft footsteps on the stairs. 6 tactical officers moving like ghosts in the dark hallway. The lead motioned me aside. 3 fingers. 2. 1. The door exploded inward. Lights blazed. Police. Drop the weapon. I saw it in flashes. Tessa on her bed. Knees to chest. Karen beside her. The same knife Mom used for Sunday roasts now gleaming in her hand. That perfect smile cracked. This is a misunderstanding. Tessa had a nightmare about the new flag size ordinance. The knife caught the flashlight beam. Drop it. Final warning. Karen's hand twitched. Officers surged. Knife clattered. Cuffs clicked. She's having episodes. Karen gasped against the carpet. She imagines things. Tell them. Honey, tell them about your episodes. But Tessa wasn't looking at Karen. She was looking at me. In a harsh light, I saw what the darkness had hidden. Stress bruises on her arms from compliance meetings, a cut on her lip that looked suspiciously like it came from arguing about lawn edging. The way she curled like she wanted to disappear. An officer pulled me aside. Ma'am, we need to speak with your sister. From downstairs, Mom's voice rose. Panicked. What's happening? Karen would never. Another officer was photographing Tessa's arms. Old yellowing marks from accidental clipboard jabs. Fresh ones from tonight. They led Karen past me in the hallway. Our eyes met. No guilt. Just cold calculation. This is your fault, she hissed. You should have stayed away. Mom clutched the banister. There's been a mistake. Karen's been nothing but good to this family. She stayed after your father died. I wasn't listening. I was thinking about every Thursday dinner where we'd chewed in silence while Karen tallied violations upstairs. How many $250 fines had Tessa paid in secret? How many signs had I missed while I was gone? The house exhaled years of secrets, and the truth was sharper than any kitchen knife. The detective's words in the sterile interview room hit like a late fine notice. Miss Green, we can only hold her 48 hours without formal charges. Your sister's statement is complicated. Complicated. That's what they called 8 months of HOA harassment when the victim was too terrified to speak clearly. Karen was already out on bail, staying with her HOA board cronies across the development. Mom kept insisting it was all a misunderstanding. Tessa has always been imaginative, Mom said for the 100th time at the kitchen table. Remember when she was little? She thought the mailbox color was attacking her. There were violations. Mom, just not the kind she imagined. Mom's coffee mug slammed down. How dare you? Karen has been the backbone of this community. She stayed when your father, she caught herself. That old wound's still raw. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through months of ignored texts from Tessa. Can you come home? Something's wrong. I need to talk. Please. Marley. Each one time-stamped after midnight. Each one I dismissed as teenage drama. She was asking for attention. Mom said, voice wavering. You abandoned her. No, I slammed the table. I left because I couldn't watch you pretend Karen's rules were perfect. But I never should have left Tessa behind. That night, I sat in Tessa's room. Crime scene tape still up, and went through everything. Her diary was hidden in an old stuffed HOA-compliant bear. Pages of careful handwriting that got shakier. March 15th, she came in again last night with the clipboard. Pretended to be asleep, but she knew. She always knows. April 3rd, Mom doesn't believe me. Says I'm making things up for attention. Maybe I am crazy. May 21st, Marley won't answer. I'm alone. My hand shook as I photographed each page. Evidence. In my old room, I found my own journals. The slow creep of Karen into our lives after Dad died. How Mom smiled for the first time when Karen showed up promising stability and community standards. Too perfect. I texted the detective at 2:15 a.m. Found something interesting. I'd written about the time Karen offered to help Tessa with homework when she was 13. Closed doors for concentration. How Tessa started having episodes after that. How Mom said it was just puberty. The signs had been there. We'd all chosen not to see them. The next morning, I drove to the Old Monroe development, where Karen had been treasurer before transferring to Willow Creek 6 years ago. The admin building smelled like floor wax and regret. Personnel records are confidential, the secretary said. But in the parking lot, a retired groundskeeper flagged me down. You asking about Karen Delaney? She left Monroe sudden. Rumors about a resident named Katie Morrison, smart girl. Quiet. Left for Arizona after Karen started extra compliance checks on her yard every week. Nothing proven. But her friend Emma said Katie was scared of the nightly clipboard visits. Katie Morrison. I wrote the name everywhere I wouldn't forget. Back home, Mom was cooking Karen's favorite pot roast. The smell made me nauseous. She'll be home for dinner, Mom said. The lawyer says this will all be cleared up. She's not coming back to this house. This is her house, too. I won't let you destroy our family over Tessa's lies. They're not lies. Tessa's voice from the doorway. Small but steel. Why won't you believe me? Mom's hands stilled on the cutting board. For a second, I thought she might crack. Then the wall slid back. Go to your room. Tessa, you're confused. No, Tessa stepped forward. Fistballed. I'm not confused. I'm done being quiet because you can't handle the truth about your perfect HOA wife. The knife in Mom's hand trembled. Not the same one. But the symbolism wasn't lost. She loves us. She takes care of us. She hurts me. Mom. She's been hurting this whole neighborhood for years, and you know it deep down. Silence stretched. Then Mom did what she always did. She turned back to cooking. Dinner at 6. Set the table for 4. But there would never be 4 again. Some families crumble one, ignored fine at time. The district attorney's office smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams. ADA Jennifer Walsh looked exhausted. Your sister's diary is compelling, but defense will call it fantasy. No physical evidence beyond stress injuries. What about the bruises? Could be self-inflicted. They'll argue. Karen's lawyer is already painting Tessa as unstable. I left hollow. The system that was supposed to protect residents was busy protecting itself from admitting the HOA was a scam. That afternoon, I sat in the parking lot of Monroe Middle, Katie Morrison's name burning in my mind. The old janitor remembered. Yeah, smart kid. Left sudden. Talk was Karen had been doing extra inspections after school. Girl never filed anything official, but her friend Emma told everyone Karen made her uncomfortable, stood too close, adjusted things that didn't need adjusting, threatened fines that could bankrupt the family. I found Emma Hartley on social media. Now, 21, studying nursing. Her reply came fast. Been waiting 7 years for someone to ask about Karen Delaney. We met at a coffee shop. Emma's hands shook stirring her latte. Started with special attention, helping with yard compliance. Then nightly visits, little touches on the shoulder while measuring grass. Fixing her posture for photos. She kissed the top of my head once in the tool shed. That's when I told my parents. They went to the HOA board. Next thing, family moved for Dad's job. Karen transferred here. Everybody won except Katie. I recorded it all. Another piece. The former HOA board chair I tracked to a golf course went pale at Karen's name. Can't discuss personnel. Or won't, Because a 19-year-old might have been safe if you'd done something 7 years ago. His club dropped. No proof. Just accusations. What was I supposed to do? Ruin a woman's reputation over whispers? Yes, I said. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. That evening, I presented everything to Detective Rivera, Emma's statement. Timeline. The non-denial. Establishes a pattern, he admitted. But circumstantial. Lawyer will say witch hunt. What about the fact she quietly reassigned herself from inspecting young residents after complaints vanished? I slid the manila envelope across. Funny how Karen always has problems with young women. Isn't it? Even with evidence, the system crawled. Karen's bored friends hired the shark lawyer who got drunk drivers off on technicalities. The story shifted. Tessa was troubled. I was vindictive. The family dysfunctional. They're requesting psych eval for your sister, Walsh told me, claiming history of delusions based on your mother's statement. My own mother testifying against her daughter. That night, I found Tessa crying, holding a bottle of pills. I can't do this. Mom thinks I'm lying. Maybe I am crazy. I held her. You're not crazy. And we're not giving up. The video was simple, just me in Tessa's room talking to the camera. There's a special kind of silence in neighborhoods where residents aren't safe. It's the sound of adults choosing not to hear the clipboard at midnight, not to see the hidden cameras, not to know about the fines that bankrupt families. It's the sound of a system that protects itself instead of protecting people. I uploaded at 3:47 a.m., titled The Silence That Protects HOA Karens. By morning, 1,000 views. By afternoon, 20,000. Messages flooded. My daughter went through the same with our HOA president. My niece tried to tell us about the board chair. We didn't listen. Then the message that changed everything. My name is Rachel Chun. Karen Delaney was my compliance tutor in 2016. I need to talk. We met at the park. Rachel, 22 now, in law school, twisted a tissue. I was struggling with yard maintenance. She offered extra help, started small, compliments on my maturity, hands on shoulders while measuring, suggesting we meet at her house. I made excuses. My grade, my compliance score dropped. Guidance counselor said I misunderstood her caring style. She kept emails, texts, screenshots. There are others. Sarah 2014, Ashley 2018, Mia last year. Same pattern, same silence. I compiled 30 pages, testimonies, emails, timeline of Karen's board, moves coinciding with families fleeing. This is powerful, Detective Rivera said. But they need formal complaints. They're scared, I interrupted. Told for years no one would believe them. You're right, the system failed. But to fix it, we work within it. Or maybe, I said standing, it's time to show everyone what the system's been hiding. The video hit 50,000 views. Local news picked it up. Karen Delaney trending. That night, Mom finally spoke. Take it down. You're destroying her life. She destroyed Tessa's and Katie's and Rachel's. Her voice cracked. Did you know, Mom? Deep down, she turned away, but the silence screamed yes. At 2:13 a.m., I found Mom staring at the coffee maker. She's a good woman. She stayed after your father. Helped raise you girls. She hurt Tessa. You don't understand. Her voice hollow. After your father, I couldn't do it alone. The bills. The house. Karen came, and suddenly I could breathe. So you traded Tessa's safety for your comfort. She whirled. I never knew. Look at me and tell me you never suspected why Tessa stopped laughing. Why she locked her door. Why she begged not to be left alone with the clipboard queen. The fight left her. She sank into the chair. She said Tessa was going through a phase I wanted to believe because the alternative was admitting you brought a tyrant into our home. Show me, she said suddenly. Show me everything. For 2 hours, I laid out the diary. Screenshots. Pattern. When she reached the entry where Tessa described telling her, Mom said I was being dramatic. Mom broke. I said that. Those exact words. You chose not to see. But you can choose differently now. She nodded, then pulled a key from the junk drawer. Karen's home office. She keeps it locked, says for confidential board documents. We crossed to the room that used to be Dad's study. The key turned. Neat file cabinets. Humming computer. Bottom drawer locked. Key taped under keyboard. Inside, USB drives labeled with initials and years. KM 2017. RC 2016. SH 2014. AM 2018. TG 2019 to 2024. I plugged in TG, Tessa Green. Photos filled the screen. Tessa sleeping. Tessa in shower through cracked door. Tessa changing. Hundreds of secret shots documenting years of violation. Mom made a wounded sound, retching into the trash. Then she opened another drawer, a notebook. Karen's neat handwriting, names, dates, ratings, not assignments, residents. Katie Morrison, 7 out of 10, too nervous, moved before completion. Rachel Chun, 8 out of 10, smart but suspicious, abandoned approach. Sarah Hamilton, 6 out of 10, told parents. No follow-up. Tessa Green, 9 out of 10, perfect situation. Mother controllable. Ongoing. Our family rated like a compliance project. Call 911, I told Mom. She didn't move at first. I brought her here. I let her near my babies. I defended her. Eyes aged a decade. How do I live with that? By making it right. By choosing Tessa now. By making sure she never harasses another resident. She dialed with shaking hands. My name is I found concerning evidence that my wife may have been behaving inappropriately toward my daughter and possibly other residents. I need someone right away. We stood surrounded by evidence of our blindness. The woman we'd invited had been a neighborhood monster all along. Tessa can never know I didn't believe her, Mom whispered. She already knows. But she needs to know you believe her now. Mom straightened. Looked like the mother I remembered, the one who fought for us. 11 years too late, but not too late for justice. The courthouse smelled like fear and floor polish. Tessa sat between me and our lawyer, knuckles white. Mom too rose back, present but the chasm still wide. Karen entered in a suit that cost more than most fines. Her shark lawyer beside her. That too wide smile still trying. The state calls Tessa Green. My sister stood on shaking legs in her simple blue dress. ADA Walsh led gently. When? Where? How long? Tessa's voice grew stronger. Then cross-examination. Miss Green, you've had psychological issues. Anxiety for being harassed. You kept a diary full of dark fantasies. Those weren't fantasies. They were real. The lawyer smiled cruelly. Real like the monsters in your closet at 7. Tessa straightened. I was 7 and afraid of the dark. I was 13 when Karen started nightly inspections. There's a difference between childhood fears and adult tyrants. One you grow out of. The other leaves bruises. Medical evidence, photos. Doctor testimony on stress patterns. Then Rachel testified, composed. She offered extra compliance tutoring. Within weeks, suggesting off-site meetings. When I refused, my score dropped. Sarah, Ashley, Mia, each story the same. The notebook changed everything. Detective Rivera presented it. Courtroom silent. Pages projected. Residents rated. Vulnerabilities noted. Mother controllable, next to Tessa's name. Inadmissible, lawyer objected. Obtained by property owner who had every right, judge ruled. Overruled. Karen's composure cracked. The final witness was Mom. Mrs. Delaney, do you believe your daughter? Mom looked at Tessa. Yes. I should have sooner. But I believe her now. Why didn't you initially? Because believing meant admitting I failed as a mother. That I chose comfort over my daughter's safety. That I brought a tyrant into our home. Tears fell. What changed your mind? Finding the photos. The notebook. realizing how many families she'd ruined while I looked away. On cross, she held firm. My marriage failed the day I chose my wife over my child. Karen took the stand, claimed the notebook was fiction for board training, photos accidental. You wrote, "perfect situation" next to Tessa's name. What did that mean? She was a perfect resident, eager to learn, mother supportive of standards. You rated teenage girls on a 1 to 10 scale, their compliance potential. Then why too nervous next to Katie Morrison? Karen's mouth opened and closed. No answer could save her. Closing arguments. Walsh held the notebook. This isn't she said. He said. This is she wrote. They testified. She documented her own crimes, rated her victims, strategized her approach. She counted on silence. Don't let her be right. The jury deliberated 6 hours. When they returned, on the count of harassment of a minor, guilty. On possession of exploitative surveillance images, guilty. On using position of authority to extort and blackmail, guilty. 11 counts. Karen's head dropped with each. 32 years. She'd be 73 before parole. As they led her away, she looked back at Mom. No remorse. Just cold fury at being exposed. Outside, no cheering crowds. Just quiet victory. Tessa breathed deep on the courthouse steps like learning to fill her lungs again. He didn't break me, she said. Wait. She. You stopped her. Marley. Both of you did. Mom nodded. I failed her. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for it. She doesn't need you to make up. She needs you to be her mother, to believe her every day from now on. Mom smiled through tears. I can do that. We drove away from the courthouse in silence. Not the heavy kind I grew up with. This was the quiet after the storm, grateful to have survived. Karen would serve her time. The HOA board would quietly settle with victims. Mom would sell the house and start over. Tessa would go to therapy, college, help other residents find their voices. And somewhere in a cell with locks she couldn't control, a tyrant would finally understand what it felt like to be the one fined into oblivion. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper in the dark that says, I believe you. Sometimes it's a locked door that finally keeps the Karen out instead of the resident in. Sometimes it's a mother choosing her daughter, late, but not too late to matter. The knife had never been the only weapon. The real weapons were silence, disbelief, and the HOA covenants that protected tyrants over people. But in the end, the sharpest blade was the truth. And the truth had finally cut deep enough to set us free. Thank you for listening to this HOA Karen story. Drop where you're watching from in the comments so we can connect. If it made you laugh through the rage or fired you up, smash subscribe and share. Your voice matters. Together we break the silence that protects the clipboard queens.